All right, in today's video, we're going to be changing the hydrostat oil in a 2020 Bad Boy ZT Elite. Well, you know your hydrostat, right here is your two hydrostat fluid for each side, one for each side. Well, I'm just going to do one side, but you do them both the same. It's easier to jack it up and take the wheels off of it. That's just a motorcycle jack that I use, but if you don't have a motorcycle jack, you can use any kind of a jack that'll raise it up high enough to take the wheels off. But this is where we want to get to. Right here's your, you see that black filter right there? That's your wheel hub, this black filter right there. That's your filter for the hydrostat fluid. There's one on each side. We're going to be changing those two. So when you take that filter off, that also drains it. But there's a plug at the top of the gearbox that you have to take loose. It's really hard to see, so you got to get way down here and look. I have my wrench on it, my socket. If you can see that socket right there above that belt, in about the center of the screen above that belt, there's a socket on the nut. And that's, you got to take that off, that vents it. Now, I forgot to show you on the other side, but this is your filter for the hydrostat fluid, and this cover you got to take off. There's a nut here, there's a nut here that takes a 3/8 inch socket. You just take these loose, and that cover comes off to give you access to your filter. Okay, so now we need to drain the fluid. So we're going to take this cap off. And then we're going to come down here and take off that filter right there. I got this oil filter wrench at Advanced Auto Parts. Works really good. You just strap it around, tighten it up. Once you get it going, do it by hand. We'll let that side drain a minute. And we'll go to the other side and do it. All right, we're going to put the fluid back in this thing and get it going. This is what you're going to need. Here are your parts. You get a 2-pack of hydro gear filters, and this is a ZT Elite, so this is going to be for the CZT and the ZT model. But there's two of them in a box. So you're going to need 2 of these filters and 2 of these 1 gallon hydrostat oil. I got these at Tractor Supply. So you're going to use one whole one and part of another one, but you do need to get 2. So we're going to put the filter back on. Filter goes right there. So you want to make sure it's clean. Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. So make sure this area right around here is clean. Collects a lot of dirt and grass under there. So just wipe that off. Whenever I change my engine oil, I always fill my oil filter up with oil before I put it on. I'm gonna do the same with this. So I fill this up with this hydrostat oil before I put it on here. It'll fill up as you fill up the tank, but it'll just don't have to fill this up now, and I'll make sure it's in there. but I don't think it really matters either way. It's just one of the things that, one of the habits that I do. So after that touches, you're supposed to turn it 3/4 to 1 turn to tighten it. But you don't want to over tighten it. I always put a Sharpie mark on it so I know where I started. Probably can't see the Sharpie mark on camera, but you can see it as long as I can see a little bit and know where I'm turning. So I'll put my filter strap back on here. My line started at the bottom. Now my line's at the top. Just gonna keep walking it around. So let's see. That's about 3/4, but it seems loose. I'm gonna go just a little bit more. All right, that feels good. You don't want to over tighten it, but you don't want it to leak either. So that's what it looks like once you get that filter back on there. Right there. So I want to leave that off until I get the other side. Make sure I don't have any leaks before I put the cover back on there. All right, so now we're going to fill the tank. Oh, but before I do that, I've got to show you where it vents. You got to pour the fluid in the top, your tank up here at the top, and you got to watch it. When it starts to come out of that top bolt that we took out earlier, that vent bolt, when it starts coming out of that vent plug, that vent hole, then you put your plug back on there and you finish filling it up. Let me see if I can show you that plug. Okay, right there is the vent hole, vent plug that I took out. So you see it's at the top, that side. I had to get on the other side of the mower to see it. But you can see that is open. So you pour oil in the top tank until it starts to run out of that. When it starts to run out of that, then you put your plug back in it and tighten it up and finish filling it. But that vents this so that the air has somewhere to go, so it'll fill up. But I'll show you again as the oil starts running out of it. Okay, oil's starting to run out of it. Trying to zoom in, but I know it's hard to see. Right there. So now the oil is running out of it, so we need to plug that hole up so it stops. So now that I got the vent plug back on there, I just want to check to see that I have it at the right fluid level. I can't get the camera down in there, I'm sorry, but there's a line right at the bottom of this tank. There's a fill line. It's kind of low in the tank. But just put it on that fill line, don't overfill it, and you're good to go. Okay, so now I got both filters back on, both sides, both tanks are at the proper level. Now we got to purge the air from the system. So the way to do that, bad boy says to lock your arms in neutral. So see these pins right here, pull this out and move that pin and put it right there on both sides, and that puts the gears in neutral. Then it says to start it and move the arms of the mower in both directions 5 or 6 times. So I'm going to lock these pins in, I'm going to do that. Then it says after that 5 or 6 times to release this, to put it back in the gear like that, and then to do it again 5 or 6 times. It says to raise it off the ground, but I'm going to do it before I put the tires back on it, so it'll just be right there and run free. So let me do that and start it up, and I'll show you. Okay, so I got the pins locked in place. That's what it looks like when the gearbox is in neutral. That pin is pulled out, or that rod, I'm sorry, is pulled out, and then you put the pin in the very last hole to hold it. But you need to be really careful when you're doing this, because that muffler is super hot after we start it here in just a few minutes. So both sides are in neutral, and now I'm going to start it, and I'm going to run the gears. Now it says to release the pins and put it back in gear so that it turns. So I'm going to do that. Watch this muffler because it's really hot. Okay, that's all there is to it. So the air should be purged, and we'll put the tires back on, let it down, and give it a try. So that's it. It's pretty simple. Just make sure you get your fluid at the right level in those two tanks, and it's right on the full mark. I can't get down there with the camera to see it, but you'll see them when you look at it. So thanks for watching. I almost forgot to put the covers back on the filters. So don't forget to put your covers back on. So that screw just goes one on each side. You got one right here. If I can get it started. There we go. And there's another screw right down here at the back. Snug it up a little bit. Good to go. Do the same thing on the other side. All right, it's all ready to go. No leaks from the filters that we changed. And I forgot to tell you earlier, if you go to jack this up to take the tires off of it, make sure you get on this frame good right here. And use jack stands. That motorcycle jack that I used has locking arms that come down and locks the jack up, so there's no chance of it falling. But don't trust a jack by itself. Use jack stands or a jack that has a lock that will lock it up in place so that it can't fall. That'd be a bad deal if it fell. Okay, thank y'all for watching.